Yeah.
Yep.
So this is top. Is it big enough?
Plenty.
Sure.
So I just hit Control Z. So it says top is running.
Yeah.
And let's
Well, it says it's
say
suspended.
PSAUX and look for top.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff. I don't know what that means. Um, well, there's top. I don't know how we know it's suspended. I wonder if this T means something. So top is in the foreground, maybe? So if I say foreground, I'm back to top.
Right. Well, it'll bring it back. It'll unsuspend it and bring it back in the foreground. So, and what'd
All
you do
right,
to
so
get
now I'm
there?
going to say
Control Z?
Control D.
Yeah.
That didn't do anything, so I'll say Control C.
That'll
So
kill it.
top is done. Now I'm going to launch Vim. Here's Vim, and I'm going to say um, send it into the background.
Okay. Huh.
Okay, I don't know what just happened.
I don't either.
I don't understand why.
Oh, yeah.
Control Z will stop it, and then you can BG the process.
Yeah, I think you want to Control Z at first and then BG it.
When it's running now in the background, but it's outputting to the terminal. So
Oh,
that's yeah.
yeah.
Output continues and input is held until you bring the application back into the foreground.
Jim, you use these commands?
I do, yes.
Wow, I just never do.
Well, usually, like if you want to debug an application that's acting funny, like a GUI application,
Mhm.
you can launch it from the terminal. And sometimes I forget to put the ampersand on the end of
Oh
it,
yeah,
which
yeah.
which puts it in the background and continues running it.
Right.
So then I press Control Z and then I say BG so that it runs in the background and I still have the terminal. And then the
Right.
application the GUI is also running, and I can.
Right.
And what happens when something goes wrong, you usually see an output to your terminal that tells you
Mhm.
what's happening. Debug
Mhm.
log messages.
Ah,
So then you can see. But
yeah.
All
but
right.
if the
So
application,
we did those things, and it looks like it was kind of helpful,
yeah,
but more helpful in the days when you were limited in the number of windows and connections you could have.
Yeah. Yeah, but like Jim was
Mhm.
talking about, like for debugging a GUI app, that sounds real interesting. So when you hit Control Z, that whatever process you're in at that point, it just suspends it. So it's sitting there suspended, and
Yeah.
you're back at the shell, right?
Hmm.
And then is there a way to list the
Yeah,
jobs?
I think it's
you
jobs.
just
We
type
just did.
jobs. Yep.
Jobs, right?
Yep.
Right.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, if I find myself getting bugged by an app that I keep putting in the background, I'll just make an RC script for it so I can use the service commands.
So right now, nothing.
Hmm.
And now I'll do top.
Mhm.
And now I'll do Control Z. And now I'll say jobs. And there's
And there's
top.
one. Okay, you could
And
have
now I'll
multiples.
launch Vim.
Okay, yeah.
And now I'll say Control Z. And now I'll say jobs.
So now
Yep.
you got
And
two
I've
jobs
got
running.
two suspended jobs.
Right.
Mhm.
And if
I
I
wonder what
say
the plus and minus
BG,
are there.
oh, I bet there's only one plus. Let me launch Helix. So there's Helix, and I'll Control Z. Now if I say jobs, there's three.
Okay.
So
Oh wait.
plus is the
Yeah.
one you are going to go back to
If you
if you say BG, and
right.
minus is the one right after that. So if I say
Okay.
BG, I'm going to be back in.
FG.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
BG just launched, just stuck it. It started it running again, but in the background.
All right, so I'm in
But it's
HX. That's the one with the
yeah,
plus.
yeah.
Now if I say jobs, Vim is the top one. So if I say FG, now I'm in Vim. I quit Vim. Now if I say jobs, top is the
Right.
top one. So if I bring that one forward, and now if I quit jobs, if I quit top and say jobs, we're back to
There's
nothing.
none. Okay. So when you had three jobs running, there was like blank, hyphen, and plus. Is there something that happens when you got four of them?
No,
Like that?
there'll be one minus, one plus, and two blank. Let's do
Okay.
it.
So
Here's top.
let me keep asking my question. Slow
Here's
down a little bit.
Vim. Go
Okay.
ahead.
You do your thing. Let me know when you're done.
You want one more thing? What do you want?
Okay. Type jobs. Okay. Can
Now I
you
can
run
say,
like can you run like FG space two and make it get back to the because if you just do FG, it's going to take the most recent one,
Yeah,
right?
use percent, FG percent two.
Okay, FG percent two
Yeah.
or percent one or percent three will target a specific one.
Yeah.
so
Or
two is going
I
to bring
imagine
Vim to the front. Is that what it's going to do?
Yeah.
BG would probably do the same
You are
thing, right?
correct. That
Yep.
is exactly what it did.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can tell you in my bash version, you just have to put the job number, no percent required.
Wolf, were you looking for http.server module for Python?
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, I like that one. That's a nice little
How do I say that?
dash m and then http dot server. No, just dot server, and that'll do the little serve up a little web portal.
Okay. So now that's running in the foreground. So you hit Control Z and suspended it, and then you can BG it to keep it running in the
Yeah.
background.
Right.
That's really handy.
That's interesting though, because it has ports. I wonder if you can list the ports to see if when it suspends it, does it take the port off of for the listening state like a netstat?
Ooh.
Is ports the command? What's the command?
No,
Netstat
and that's that.
RN
Yeah,
or netstat will do it.
Netstat what?
minus
Dash
RN
yeah.
or minus NTP is what I do.
Okay, yeah.
RN is routes. Yeah.
Oh,
You want
right.
and
I use
yeah,
TCP listening numbered.
Okay.
I don't know what you're doing.
What did you want me to say exactly?
Netstat
TLN.
minus NTP. You're on a Mac, so the commands, the options are different.
Let me ask.
Um, um,
I use Tulpen, Tulpen.
yeah, I wonder if try that. Tulpen, TUL.
Netstat dash Tulpen.
Oh, but on a Mac, the options are going to be different.
Oh, because it's BST.
Yeah.
Tulpen.
Hang on,
It's
I'll
probably
get you there.
Tulpin. So that's what I use. Or is it EN? I think it's EN. Tulpen. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. This is BSD, I guess, right? So it doesn't
Okay,
understand.
well, it's going to be listening on port 80, right?
So I could um netcat 80? What would I say?
No.
It's not 80. I think it's 8,000 or 8080.
Oh, right. It
Oh,
said that when.
do ANP TCP. Grep listen.
It's one word.
Netstat with the flags ANP.
Like
then
that.
Uh,
That's an
no,
N
it
as
doesn't.
in Nancy.
Yep.
Without the P on it.
No, that'll work. And then grep listen, all caps.
Not on a Mac. It won't.
Oh, it says it. I just. Oh, I
Yeah.
want that.
It doesn't. It does. Oh, well, P requires an argument. I think P is a different thing.
Oh yeah, then do TCP afterwards. Sorry. ANP and then the protocol, you would have to specify the protocol.
Oh, okay.
Just say TCP. So netstat ANP TCP.
All right, right.
And then it should show you all the TCP stuff. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. So
So there's 8,000 right at the top.
yeah,
Yep.
8,000 is listening. So it's listening, but the job is suspended, right? You didn't BG it, did you? No, they're all
It
suspended.
is suspended. It does
Yeah.
look suspended.
So it's still out there in the port table.
What
listening,
happens
but I
if
wonder
I say BG percent two?
Yeah, then it
well,
will run in the background.
yeah,
So
now
now you
type
should-
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's running.
Oh, that's
then do that
nice.
net
That's a
static.
big move for us.
So
Yeah.
so if you actually drop a little index.html to serve up, does the website go away even though it's still listening?
Yeah, when it's suspended, does it actually stop serving? You could probably just open in the
Oh.
browser without any files.
Tell me what to do.
In your browser, go to 127.0.0.1:8000 and see what it shows.
Yeah, it's
Let's see if I can
it's
get
running
to
right
my
now, isn't it?
browser.
Yeah, it should be running now, so that should give us the positive result.
Yeah.
And
So you
then we
want
get
me to go to localhost
local
Yep.
hosts or yeah.
8,000.
: 8,000.
Yep.
Oh, there
Okay.
it
Gives
is.
you a directory listing.
Yeah.
So
And I
now
know it's working.
uh,
Now if you suspend it.
Yeah.
All right,
How
let's
do you
suspend it.
resuspend it? How do you? Okay. I mean, you could bring it into
Yes.
foreground and then hit Control Z, but is there a way to get it
Yeah,
from
you just use
running in background?
BG percent and the job number.
Oh,
But
nice.
might have to do jobs to take a look at it, which number it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So jobs.
So it's running.
So
We'll say
BG percent
BG
two.
percent two.
Well,
Oh, it's already
It's already in the
back.
background. So
Wait,
we
but-
want
All
to
right,
get
so
suspended.
let's FG
Yeah. There you go.
percent two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Control Z it.
And
Now
now
Control Z.
we'll
Yep.
Control Z it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There
Yeah.
you go.
And now we'll jobs.
Now jobs. Yeah.
And
okay.
now
Yeah,
it's suspended.
Now
And
check
now
in your
we'll
browser.
go
yeah.
back to here. And I will refresh
reload.
this page.
And it's
And
Probably
it's
a timeout.
still loading.
Timeout.
It's not getting a response. So
Nice.
it's
Right.
going to time out.
right.
And it's going to take a long time to time out.
Probably.
But I mean, normally would you, if you're running that HTTP server in Python, would you just would you put a ampersand on the end of it to cause it to go in background?
If it were me, I'd be doing it in a different tmux pane or
Yeah,
a different
but-
window.
But I mean, okay. So is starting a job with the ampersand on the end the same thing as starting a job in foreground and then suspending it and BG in it?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so if you started a command with ampersand on the end and then you
You're gonna
type
do it?
jobs, you'd see it, right?
You would. Yes.
Okay.
All right, so let's is there an easy way to kill two?
I guess
Yeah.
just
Kill
Control
percent
C it.
two.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
there
Nice.
you go.
All right,
Okay,
Nice.
so
that's
so then
done.
run the same command.
So now let's say
Well, I bet that's how you
Python
could
3
put a.
HTTP server, but we want it to happen in the background. Am I
Mhm.
using the right
Right.
character?
Yep. There
Okay,
it is.
now
Jobs.
jobs says it's running in the
Yeah.
background.
Oh,
Yep.
that's interesting. In the syntax there, it shows the job number and the PID. Like right after you type the command, it told you it's job number 2.
I see what you're talking about. You're talking
Oh,
about
Yeah.
Yep.
this right
That's
here.
nice.
Yep.
So I'll bet you could do it if you had a job running in the background and you wanted to get it into a suspended state. I'll bet there's a kill signal you could send to it.
Ah, yeah.
Let's find out.
Mm-hmm.
Kill minus
Um,
stop.
Oh,
Um,
I still rewatch your talk, your mug talk, Wolf, on all the cool command console commands, because I love that you do this TLDR and all this other stuff. It's so nice.
which I actually use. I love TLDR because you just don't need a man page 99% of the time.
yeah. So you did a kill minus 17, or
Well,
you
this
reading about
says
it? Yeah.
pause until continue. That doesn't seem right.
But try it. Let's throw something in background and pause it and see
So
if it shows up as suspended. So like number 2. So could you do kill stop space %2? Oh, that exited. Oh, can you stop, or is it dash stop?
Dash stop.
is
Yeah.
it?
So
All right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
start it
So
again in the background.
let's
And let's see if we can
do
get a
that
background
again.
job suspended.
So now is running, and it's
Yeah.
number 2 again. I don't know why. And now we're going to um, fix the kill command.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, just put a dash in front of it. Oh, look at that.
There
Then
it is.
jobs.
Yeah.
but it didn't
Mhm.
this time give the process ID. Interesting.
Because it was already running.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already a process.
Yep.
When you start a job and put an ampersand on the end of it, that's the shell telling you the process ID. So type
Yeah.
jobs. We should see all of them suspended now. Look at that.
Mhm. Yep.
And notice that the plus and the plus is indicating what was the last job you
They
dealt
swapped,
with,
yeah.
and the
Right.
minus is the one that you last did before the one that you just did.
Right. That's kind of neat. Um, so we learned something, didn't we? I know I did.
You want me to stop sharing?
Is there anything else? Anybody else have any ideas that they want to try, or did we get it? Oh, you can continue it. Like you got that job. I know you can do a BG to start it going in the background. Do a kill space dash cont CONT space %2. And now what does job say?
There
And it's
it
running
is.
again.
Yeah.
So I mean, BG is easier, right?
True. But kill with that syntax makes you know exactly which one's coming back. I mean,
Right.
I guess with the plus and minus does the same thing, but if you wanted to pick like number 1, for instance, you could just pick number 1 since it doesn't have a
Yeah.
And it gives a reason there why it's suspended. It says it's trying to do TTY output. So if you foreground on that one there, if it's still there, well,
It is not.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's been
Then
killing
it'll continue since it has control. Well, I guess if you have something running in the background and it tries to do output, it will still output to the console. So that's
Which we saw
yeah,
when
we did. Yeah.
the
when you did it with Vim.
HTTP server
Yeah.
answered requests.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
If I
But if it-
scroll
did we?
up, you
Yeah.
can see
Oh
here
yeah.
Yeah.
that's it answering
Yeah.
some requests.
Yeah.
But
So
I
even
was
though it was
still
running in the
typing
background,
commands.
standard out was still going to your terminal.
But if it needs input, it has to be in the foreground to get the input.
Okay.
That is consistent with everything I have typed and seen today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm glad we did this command.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love computers, man.
Roller, you're
I know
not
I
in your
do.
office, are you?
No,
I am in my office.
I had ACL surgery, so I'm cooped up in
Oh,
bed.
recovering.
Yep. I decided to finally get the surgery. I'm like, do
Ah.
you really need an ACL? But yeah, apparently it's nice to have.
You're talking about an access control list, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
For my knee, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's see. Wolf stopped sharing. So our next step is to go into the talk by Joe, and I think Justin's going to help. I saw he was here.
Yeah,
Thought he
I
was
can
here.
also chat about the
I'm
topic
sure
a
there'll
bit.
be things you'll want to add.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, we build
yeah.
it as the two of you. Um, so anyway, let's go on and do it. All right. Thanks, Wolf, for covering that stuff. That was neat. And thanks, Joe and Justin, for this one.
My pleasure, by the way.
Got to hide my meeting controls. So first off, caveat, I am not I'm not an expert. But I mean, I explored them a couple years ago and I use a few of them, a few of these particular offerings. And so, I mean, I kind of like to say what they are and what they're not because they don't do, everybody hears VPN and they think, hide my traffic or whatever, the privacy VPNs, or they think they're work VPN that tunnels between two different sites. Um, I mean, I'll discuss how they typically work because I think that they're interesting in how most of these mesh VPN offerings work. They can operate differently, but for most of them, they work like this. I like that. There's a couple of good use cases for mesh VPN, both for personal use and for commercial use, for work in your job. And then I'll point out some of the commercial offerings and some specifics about them, along with some open source offerings, some of the open source options. And a lot of the commercial options are also open source. They just have a commercial component. So we'll talk about that. They are an encrypted tunnel over the public internet. It's a virtual private network. So it creates a tunnel between two endpoints or multiple endpoints. For the mesh, every endpoint acts as both a client and a server and routes traffic between them. So you could have 15 nodes, and they don't have to talk all to one central node in a mesh VPN. They talk to each other as needed. They use an overlay network, which is basically a secondary network routing that then exists over the public internet. So it routes its packets to IP addresses in the mesh network via packets that are going out through the public internet. Most of them commonly use a control server to coordinate the connections. And this allows for dynamic mobile endpoint addresses. So if your phone picks up a new address because it joined a Wi-Fi, you could still use it. If you close your laptop and open it back up in a coffee shop, that dynamic address can be managed with a control server. And then it also compensates for non-public endpoint addresses. So if you're behind a firewall that does network address translation, most of these mesh VPNs can compensate for that NAT traversal and punch holes through it to run that tunnel.
Okay, I got one of my computer clubs going here.
Oh, you do?
Good.
Oh, that's right. Tuesday.
They don't do is they don't generally they split the routing of general traffic and VPN traffic. So when you go to your email client, you're not running through the VPN. It's specifically for connections between the nodes that are talking on the mesh VPN. They typically don't change the location or hide the source of your internet traffic, and that's why they're not really a privacy VPN. They don't normally route it all through a specific endpoint, but you could configure it in some of the commercial offerings. So it does kind of reduce performance when it's used as a privacy VPN because you have to go into a network and then come back out to the internet. And then it normally isn't used as a point-to-point between two larger networks. So if you had two data centers that you wanted to interconnect, you wouldn't want to use a mesh VPN. You'd use a traditional VPN with two VPN hardware appliances to create a single tunnel and all traffic routes between them. They can be used to connect nodes that are in two separate locations, but they're not normally used as a point-to-point between two larger networks. Some good use cases that I feel, and I use them for a couple of different ones of these. You can have a bunch of self-hosted things in your home and then not even have a public internet address and use a mesh VPN to access them from your phone. A lot of the commercial offerings have VPN clients for mobile devices, and you can just access your home uh, web server without ever having to expose it to the internet using one of these mesh VPNs. Similarly, like your own cloud or Nextcloud, you could have that, access it from your phone without ever having to expose it to the internet or have a public address. Some people use them for backend services such as database or other, they'll run a simple proxy on a public IP and then route the traffic over a mesh VPN back to the database or the primary web server or the application server or the API server, so that the only thing that's accessible is that front end web server, and then everything else is on private IP address space and can't even be reached from the public internet. And which gives you then need a secure jump host to access to that network from mobile clients. So your laptop maybe is connected to one of these mesh VPNs, and then you can access the backend service server nodes because they don't have public IP addresses, but it doesn't matter. They have a private IP address. You have the mesh VPN client installed on that, and you have it on your laptop. You can now connect through the mesh VPN.
So I got a lady that wants to book the room, but I have to.
Can I talk to you 10 minutes?
Well, she's here right now.
All right, Justin, you're gonna have to continue for a minute.
It'd be really.
No problem. No problem. I can kind of take over from here, at least for a little bit. So yeah. Yeah, he was talking about the different ways that you can use it, the good use cases here, and being able to access and that private network from any mobile client is a really popular one. And yeah, LAN for gaming, that makes a lot of good sense too. If you're into like PC multiplayer gaming, instead of getting your buddy's public IP address and making sure that port is forwarded and things like this, you could set up a mesh VPN so you could just talk to each other directly over those private IP addresses.
Yeah, and it is really with a lot of these services don't have anything except a local network view of the world, and so those games you can only play them over a mesh VPN and over the internet.
Yeah, so yeah, especially if you go back to some of the older multiplayer games for sure. And that's
if you're trying to do like IPX with DOSBox or something.
Yeah,
that'd be a perfect use case for that.
So
yeah,
what I do, IPX with DOSBox.
The last one is kind of a specific use case where you do get location-based IP. So if you have like some of the television providers and internet providers allow you to watch streaming TV, but only from in your home on your phone. But you could theoretically use a mesh VPN and an exit node to route all your traffic from your phone through your house and then back out to the internet, and it looks like your phone's sitting at your house to the streaming service. So that is kind of a specific one, but you need to own the node that it's exiting. So that's why it's not really a privacy VPN, because you own the node and everybody knows that you own. So sorry about the interruption, but basic operation is that they are full mesh connectivity, which means they're peer-to-peer connections. So they don't actually route traffic through a master connection like a hub and spoke. They use the control server to figure out where the other node is, but then all other communication is from node to node, peer-to-peer over the network. The control server does do that NAT traversal and dynamic path facilitation. Most of them use PKI certificates. There could be some oddballs out there, but I haven't seen one that doesn't use private key infrastructure. I think X509 certificates for every node authenticates to each other. A lot of them do user authentication as well. So not only does the device authenticated, but then the user is authenticated as well. And then, of course, as I said, after path determination, the traffic bypasses the control server and routes directly between the endpoints. So I've got a couple of pictures to kind of show that description. Let's look at the mobile phone at the top of the screen first. It says, "Hey, I want to get to this server," and it talks to the control server and gets the information from the control server and starts to try to connect to the server behind the ISP NAT. The control server then typically will send a message to the server that's behind the ISP NAT and say, "Hey, this device is trying to reach you. Here's how you can reach it." And then they will coordinate a connection between the two of them, and that allows them both to punch through even carrier grade NAT. So you don't have to have any control of your network address translation or port forwarding. As long as the ports are allowed, they can sort of open a connection between two-sided NAT. And the same thing, if you've got on the left with the green arrows, if you've got a phone and a laptop that's on the local network and they try to talk to each other and they actually have the Mesh VPN installed and active, they won't actually go outside to the internet. They'll just talk internal on that local network because they know how to reach each other. And the black one is just another version of the server connecting to the local network. One of the ways to configure them is with an exit node for like a larger network. So you don't need a client on every device on that local network. The local network there on the side of the screen, every device behind there can route through the exit node, and then everything goes through the exit node to come into the local network. That is one way to configure them if you have a larger network that you don't want to install a client on every node. You can set up an exit node, and that'll basically be the router for all that Mesh VPN traffic between all those nodes. Justin, do you want to add anything on how they operate from the high level?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got like the main like use case there, and yeah, that's the thing. It's like kind of like a tool like Git that is also like decentralized and essentially a mesh network. It depends on how you use it. You can set it up in different ways, and if you're willing to accept the trade-offs, like we were talking about with the, go back to my home and all my traffic exits through there, you're like compromising on the performance a little bit, but with that configuration, you get that authorization there that says, "Oh yeah, look at me. I'm from this known IP address, this validated IP address. So treat me like a good person." But yeah, and so it really all comes down to how you configure it and which configurations the different services that are making this so popular support, and how do they make it easy and things like that. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have been attracted to with a bunch of the different services, Tailscale being one of them, is like, well, what do they make easy for you? And then what else can you do with it?
Yeah, so
oh yeah, look at that. Good tier. Yeah.
Yeah, so they provide that certificate and user management part, which makes it easy. You don't have to worry about having a certificate authority and generating certificates for each device and implementing them, and they provide user management. They also provide that public IP address control server so that everything can reach one node that knows how to get to everything else. And they all provide an encryption layer. Either, a lot of them use WireGuard, an open source encryption tunnel, or one of them has proprietary network. I do have links to all of them. You'll notice that they have an affiliate link. That just helps out some of the podcasts that I like to listen to. From Jupiter Broadcasting and Late Night Linux. Nebula, it is an open source code base and you can run it yourself. You don't need to use their hosted version. You can install your own Lighthouse servers, what they call it, on a public IP address and run it yourself. And they use WireGuard security. Tailscale is open source except for their GUI clients, but they really do have some good GUI clients. Their phone clients are really, really nice and they run very well. And then the control server isn't open source. NetMaker SaaS, I haven't used it, but it's the same WireGuard security, and then they follow an open core model with some pro features to add those things you might care for as a business. Zero Tier, I've used it; it works well, but it is proprietary security protocol, and then it has a business source license, so you can run it open source as long as it's non-commercial. And then I noticed that there are some privacy VPN providers that are also beginning to offer mesh services. They even advertise it, mesh VPN with your privacy VPN. And then the open source options, you can create a mesh network with just WireGuard, but host and key management, you have to accommodate for every host and manage the keys. You do have to have a public IP address for every node. And there's no dynamic routing when the network changes. You have to change the configuration so that everybody knows how to get everybody else. But it's a common underlying protocol for most of the open source options and a lot of the commercial offerings. Nebula is an MIT license. Slack created it for global intercommunication between nodes. But you do need to have that publicly accessible coordination server. NetMaker also is an open core. They use Apache 2.0. Zero Tier is non-commercial use open source. And then Headscale is an open source implementation of the Tailscale control server. So that's a way to run Tailscale without having to pay to use Tailscale's hosted control server. There are some more out there, but I don't know of any others. I saw some and was like, I don't need. There's a lot of them. These are the big ones that I'm familiar with. Justin, you know of any others that might be of interest?
Yeah, so I actually did a bunch of research into this a few years ago. I looked at Zero Tier and talked to them a bit, and they've got some really nice options. I'm always looking for some free tiers and stuff like that. But yeah, and Headscale for implementing Tailwind. That's real nice, not Tailwind, Tailscale. That's really great. I haven't tried Nebula, but I am curious about that. Slack has had some really cool technology, uh, from the beginning there. But ultimately, I actually ended up implementing NetBird for my small business, and that's worked out really well. It's pretty similar to a lot of these other options, very much like NetMaker. Uh, I am actually just using their open source software. I'm not paying them at all for it to run the business network on it. But yeah, I have the open source software on the coordination server, and then open source clients on Mac and Windows and mobile that of course authenticate and then get onto that private network. And we have it set up for a couple different things like access to file servers and stuff like that. But yeah, one of the things that's pretty common amongst these also is that they do not like to handle identity often. You'll notice if you go to Tailscale, which is just nice and easy, because they're like happy to sign you up. You have to log in with your Google or your Microsoft or your GitHub or whoever else they've integrated with, and they provide the identity aspect. And so, like that, NetBird does the same thing. You can connect to Okta or one of those other new professional identity providers. We went with another one called Citadel, and that's been pretty great. That is one of the ones that NetBird recommended, and so I wanted to make it easy. We weren't actually looking into identity very deeply. We weren't looking for like a single sign-on solution, but previously our VPN users were always, they already had some credentials that, they never really looked at because they just turn the VPN on and forget about it. So yeah, we set them up with new identities in Citadel and connected that to our NetBird installation. And it's been incredible actually. It's been set it and forget it. And super powerful. I think one of the cool things, I keep looking into NetMaker and other options because I might want to migrate. But one of the cool things about all of these is that there's so little overhead in terms of infrastructure and planning that there's no cost to try it, right? Yeah, you can just spin up a coordination server and have multiple VPNs working. Previously, if you've managed a VPN at work or even just had to deal with it at all, you know that there's like VPN servers. A lot of companies pay a lot of money for special VPN routers. And like
Yeah.
the WireGuard is an open source protocol, and it has basically made all of those obsolete. The performance is much better. The code base, WireGuard itself is just like 4,000 lines of code or something like that in the kernel. With it's like the helps with the performance as well, and just the maintainability and security of the situation when you have these huge code bases like OpenVPN. We used OpenVPN quite a bit for a while, and that was great. But man, yeah, the code bases are huge, so they're constantly faced with tons of bugs, right? A lot of software developers know that less software is often the better choice if possible. And WireGuard kind of makes that happen because it's not much of an application itself, it's a protocol. And you can have a couple other applications like WG Quick will help you with IP assignments and things like that. But yeah, you handle the key management, identity, authentication, and this is just a feature of Linux now, right? I'm sure other operating systems will be building it in as it becomes more and more popular because it's just free software defined networking. Essentially, you can set up any kind of private network that you want between computers. It's an awesome revolution in this space for sure.
Unless anybody has any questions, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's something I was looking to get into because I had that same idea where you put the proxy on a public VM somewhere, Hetzner or DigitalOcean or something like that, and then just terminate your TLS there and use that to reach into your lab at home and run everything at the house. I just got a fiber connection here at the house. It's eight gig up and down, and it's so that's a full gigabyte per second, which is just like what? So I built a new box for that, and I'm just gonna run everything in my jails here at the house. And I was gonna do IPsec tunnels, and now that you told me this, I did some digging real quick while you're chatting, and it looks like you can just run all in WireGuard. You could just make some custom
Yeah.
WireGuard. And
Yeah, you don't need IPsec anymore. You just set up WireGuard.
Yeah, and if you're got the fixed back ends and a front end, then it's easy to just do WireGuard between those. The big plus side of it is if you want to manage those back end nodes, it's nice to have one of the mesh VPNs running because then your laptop can then connect to it with whatever address it happens to have at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's one thing where a mesh VPN versus just WireGuard tunnels between them. But for a back end system, for a front end, low end, a low power Nginx server that just passes everything to the back end. Yep, just WireGuard tunnel it back there.
Yeah, and it's because the more you get into this cloud stuff, you realize you're trading so much complexity, and the pay as you go thing, it's pay for all your logs, right? And we're you're like, wait, how do I query my logs? They're like, oh, just use our Athena SQL query thing, and you can SQL query your logs. I'm like, I want to use grep. Just let me grep my logs, please. They're like, nah.
Well,
It's 12 cents.
if you've ever set up IPsec, it'll make a grown man cry trying to get that working.
It is very annoying.
Yeah, there are so many options, and every Cisco and Fortinet and all those companies have their own nuances, and WireGuard comes along
They send you
Just-
the questionnaire asking you 1,000 questions about how yours is set up, and you fill it out exactly, answering all their questions.
Yeah.
And then they still misconfigure something, and you eventually realize that it was misconfigured because the error message is like this protocol, and you end up figuring it out, and you're like, why are you wasting all this time, guys? Like, I'm using a very simple config file. What are you guys using?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't
And
know.
the
whatever.
like the different companies in their IPsec, they call the different parameters different things.
Yes.
So I for a while I was setting up IPsec tunnels between doctors' offices and medical labs, and if you're talking to Cisco or you're talking to Fortinet or any of them, you get this questionnaire, what you want, perfect forward secrecy or whatever, and the other company calls it something else. So I don't know. I don't know what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been using Chat GPT to I give Chat GPT the questionnaire, and then I give it my ipsec.conf, and I'm like, help me fill this stupid thing out, and like, and it'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's
WireGuard
no fun, and WireGuard just makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question.
Bypassing all of that is great.
I have a question about security. When I was playing with Tailscale, it wanted to. I kind of sensed that I had a secure system because I still managed the SSH keys into my entry node, which was a Raspberry Pi, into my local network. And at one point, Tailscale was offering said, for ease of use, let us manage your SSH keys. And I thought that might be like a security hole there.
I'm thinking no.
Yeah. If they want my public key, they're always welcome to have that.
The public key is fine.
Well, that's probably what they want is your public keys. So
maybe that's it. Yeah.
And so they can put it, just like working
nodes.
with GitHub or GitLab, it's pretty common to give them your public key so you can authenticate your requests there and forward that along.
I saw this GLINet device on Kickstarter that's claiming it's like a KVM, remote KVM thing, and it says it has integration with Tailscale. That's where I heard about Tailscale first.
Yeah, those are getting pretty popular. I've got one of those devices. Pretty convenient little, it's the modern version of the old WRT Linksys devices that everybody had and ran open WRT on. But now like, they'll just be running Linux with probably some weird proprietary stuff here and there. I know GLINet does their own thing, but they also they implement WireGuard, and it's super simple. And you can put anything on it. So I think that works really well. I've seen some other really cool configurations with these too. Because it's a mesh, you can have high availability, right? So if one of your nodes goes down, if you have multiple routing nodes to that other network, then any one of them can go down, and it doesn't matter at all, right? Everything continues to operate as it does.
That's
I
was going to say that's a good. I hadn't even thought of that. You can use a mesh network for point to point because you can have several nodes on each side that are considered exits.
Yeah, you can have multiple exits on the other side, or you can if you want to segment it like that, or you could have it also that they're all the same. But yeah, that's what we do. We have a couple of routing nodes so that someone can get in and they can get to a device that isn't running WireGuard. It's just on the local network there. Another thing I saw that actually, I don't know if it's in the version that we have. It's honestly, I haven't touched it in a little while because it's been so great. I haven't needed to. But they also support in some configurations, if you have multiple NATs, you could run into some problems, and they will instead still support an end-to-end encrypted channel through the coordinating server. So just in case there is some trouble, there's a little extra way to get around that too, which I think is just basically multiple WireGuard connections with another WireGuard connection through that tunnel. But yeah, that's really great stuff.
Yeah, I just threw a link in about that GLINet
Yeah,
cave thing.
boy,
It's
they
kind of
really
kind of interesting.
they hit their Kickstarter goal, didn't they?
Yeah, and that's just an interesting way of like, instead of team viewer or some crap like that, you just have got, I mean, if you already have tail scale set up, why not just give yourself a nice little computer control program? Uh,
Hmm.
so that
Yeah.
that that was cool. And then since all this stuff is using PKI, you can either get the TLS Mastery book from Michael W. Lucas to kind of learn all the craziness about it of TLS. No, not TLS Mastery. I think the other one. Uh, sorry, let me find the other one. But the Step CA server from Small Step is nice. Someone at BSDCan told me about that. It's just a little program to help you set up a CA instead of you typing all the OpenSSL commands yourself.
Nice. You mentioned TeamViewer, and I definitely still use that from time to time. We've also implemented Rust Desk. I don't know if we've ever talked about that here, but that is like a great, essentially like a TeamViewer replacement, your remote access terminal, uh, and it's
I
totally
love
open
Rust Desk.
source. Yeah, that thing is great. They've been updating the UI and that helps, but like it performs well and it works simply, right? You just have the coordinating server, everybody can get there connected to anybody else on the network through that coordinating server. So
Rust Desk,
it's really
interesting.
great.
I'll check
Yeah,
that out.
yeah. Highly recommended.
Okay, cool.
So I've used Tailscale and I've run straight WireGuard. Um, Tailscale though, they've got a free plan that I think is really kind of amazing. It's like 100 nodes I think you can have with their free plan,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
um, I think those guys are trying to be awesome so that people choose them instead of trying to lock you in. Like some companies are evil and they'll do whatever they can to lock you in.
Yeah.
Tailscale is not like that. They're just trying to continuously be awesome
Yeah.
to attract customers.
I tried zero tier because at the time I could not run two different tail nets on one.
Yeah.
But now you can do a tail scale switch and switch networks.
Oh,
Um,
can you?
you can have multiple tail nets logged in, but
Uh-huh.
only one is active at a time.
Okay, and then you
Oh,
pick
that's
it from the
cool.
menu or something.
Yeah, you can do a tail scale switch and
Oh,
then
that's nice.
different network.
Yeah, that is
You can
nice.
give nice friendly names, work, home, whatever.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that's cool. Huh? Because that could solve a problem that I've been expecting to have soon.
Yeah, I've gone back to tail scale because hey, they got switch now.
Yeah. Cool.
So if I'm trying to switch from OpenVPN on a public IP address to get to my home lab and control my actual servers with my SSH, what what's the benefit of setting this up? Where do I actually get my my MacBook out in the world connected back into my house?
So
Uh,
if you run a tail scale client on your MacBook
okay.
and a tail scale client on a server in your house, and you're using tail scale, then all you do is log into activate tail scale, log into tail scale with your laptop.
Yeah.
Your server is already running tail scale and logged in. Then it
Oh,
will
okay, okay.
use the control server to get to there, and then you'll just SSH to that address.
So they're doing some sort of
Yeah.
reverse, like similar to a reverse SSH where
No, all they're doing
they're
is
kind of they're
they're
calling
telling
a service to say, I'm here.
yeah, so they're doing a coordination. So when you try to get to your home server through the telnet, they go, "Oh, you're trying to reach that? Here's how you get to it." But
Yeah.
then in conjunction, they will tell your home server, "Hey, the laptop's trying to get to you. Here's how you can reach them." And so it
Yeah.
does kind of interconnection from
Yeah.
both sides, and that
Yeah. It's
allows
using
through
it's using
multiple.
stun for that STUN,
Yeah,
the session
Yeah.
traversal for NAT,
and
Okay.
so
and
it can
it's
traverse them
amazing.
on both sides.
Right. So I'm not trying to figure out what my IP address changed to this week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you set up all these nodes on a tailscale network, you're building a tailnet, and each of these machines will have a tailnet IP address. It's like in the 100 dot range,
Okay.
Yeah.
so you can reach any server any machine that's in your tailnet.
Do you have to do a bunch of services? Like, do all my jails need to have this telnet client on it, or can they all? Can I do it similar to how I do with OpenVPN, where I jump to the OpenVPN server and it connects me to the network?
Yes, you can. That's a, what did you call it? An exit node.
Node,
You
I
set
think,
up.
Justin. I call them an exit node, but it
Yeah.
basically there's one node
Routing node.
that routes
Yeah.
traffic for everybody else.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Like I've got a Netgate 1100 router. It's a nice little, fairly inexpensive router. It runs pfSense, and there's a Tailscale module for that. So that's just my router in my house, and
Okay.
that's logged into Tailnet or Tailscale. So from outside of my house, I can log into Tailscale and get to my whole house just because my router is running Tailnet or
Okay.
Tailscale.
You can even I don't know about some of the other services. I imagine they provide a similar feature, but I do know that Tailscale will give you a public TNS that gets you to the Tailscale network address, but only if you're logged in.
Yeah.
Otherwise it doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
because I like to leave my lab. What I do is I basically just have a giant machine that runs all my containers, they're jails, but runs everything inside of it. And then my whole lab's just in there. And it'd be nice to be able to, and I use OpenVPN to get to that network in there, but it'd be nice to.
Yeah, I used OpenVPN for
Tailscale as
years
well.
and years.
The nice part is, if you want to give somebody, if you need an easy button for somebody, just tell them, oh, well, you install the Tailscale client, and then you go to this HTTPS, whatever I named it, .tailnet, and then it'll just give them a web page that's in your tailnet.
So where does
Yeah.
the PKI fit into this? Did you have to generate your own
No,
CA or
that
anything?
Tailscale is so most
does
of
it
the
all for you.
most of the hosted services are doing that for you. So when you bring up a new computer and you log in and say, I want to connect it to this tailnet, they'll generate a PKI and then they'll associate it with that computer. A lot of them will require you to and go into the admin console and say, yes, allow that computer to connect. It'll tell it, it'll log what the user was that connected to it and what the host was and give you some details about it. So you can determine, yes, that can connect to my tailnet. Nope, I don't care that you got to log in. That computer's not getting on.
So they're just abstracting away all the details.
Yes.
Which you could start that way, because I like to do that. I like to start with something that makes it easy that you're learning, and then go and reverse engineer, do it out of just straight up.
Yeah.
WireGuard or
Nebula.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nebula, you're doing all of that yourself.
Okay.
So you're running the CA server, you're assigning you're assigning the PKI to each node. You're putting the PKI certificates on the nodes and now your Nebula server. So Nebula is really, their hosted service abstracts that, but you can just run it open source and do all that yourself.
Yeah, because typically I'm learning something in Linux and then I'll turn it into a FreeBSD, and then I'll go talk about it at the conference or something. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's always just another good talk idea. You're like, I figured out how to do X or whatever, and now everything runs over here, because it's the same, but it's different. And it's not supported, so you got to figure out some other way of doing it or whatever. There's always some caveats with FreeBSD, but I just love it because it'll go from 9 to 14, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and you never even worry about it. But Linux bites me a lot when I do my upgrades, and it makes me mad. I go like, why have they not solved this already? And they're like, because we invented Kubernetes and we forgot about the problems with the individual servers, Don't treat them as pets, treat them as cattle and all that jazz. And I'm like, I like my pets.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned both Rustdesk and the mesh networks. Interestingly, just 6 months ago in April, I gave a joint presentation to SEMCO, the Southeast Michigan Computer Organization, on exactly those two things. So I am very much a fan of Rustdesk. That's why I gave the presentation. And the other part was on NordVPN's implementation of WireGuard, which they call MeshNet. They were about to get rid of it. Too many people complained, so it's going to be stay around. One of the advantages you mentioned about carrier grade network address translation, you can configure WireGuard to do that, but it's very difficult. MeshNet, not difficult at all. I'll address Jim's issue. You mentioned you get 100 IP address. I have all of that, and every device on my network has a 100 dot something IP address, and then I run Samba, and I can share files. I have my phone, which is run out of space. I access now my Linux box as additional space from my Android phone because I ran out of space. That's mostly what I use it for. I'm very fond of this whole. Again, I gave a presentation on NordVPN's MeshNet, and as you mentioned, you can also run it on your router. Nord gives you. Getting back to the VPN part, it gives you 10 different devices. Now I run DDWRT on my router. That can be one of the devices, and now everything goes through the router. That's you can have
that's
just
an exit
one
node.
device.
Yeah.
And that's what I did at first. But now I have pretty much all my devices on. But some items you can't put a client on, like a TV. So, and it will go through the DDWRT router.
Right, so you do that at the router.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah. And Samba, huh? I haven't heard somebody say they're using Samba in like 10 years. I'm impressed.
It's a little embarrassing, but it happens to us.
Yeah, I've got it on my media server.
Wow.
It's
I
still
never
a nice.
I use
a nice
Samba a lot. I never liked it.
It's terrible.
It's still
Well,
useful.
one nice thing is I have
dump a
on my
bunch of
phone.
files.
On my phone, I have this app called CX File Explorer. There's many others, but this one and others will allow you to, access Samba, and that's how I access my Linux.
That's
Linux
pretty cool.
box. Yeah, but it's over, as you mentioned, Jim, over a 100 dot something IP address. This is wonderful. I was giving the presentation to Semco, and I was accessing files back home as if I was on a local network. It's basically a virtual local
that's
network.
That's a VPN. That's a VPN for you.
That's the net. That's the mesh network.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Jim, you said Samba you don't care for. Is there something else? That seems to be the default file share protocol. Is there something you prefer besides?
No. I did an awful lot of NFS. And it's ugly as well, but I would prefer that over Samba. I don't do anything in Windows. I don't have to worry about Windows. I don't talk to it, so I don't need Samba.
I've been using SSHFS a lot.
You can do that too. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know about Windows. It's hard to recommend it as a solution for people that are running Windows, but thankfully I just get to go, I don't know, I don't do Windows.
Yeah, right. So do I.
That's a great suggestion. SSHFS. I had forgotten about that. Yeah.
I mean,
that's out there and that's mature.
I find it very clean. So I got annoyed by Visual Studio Code because I told it don't update, manually update only, never update, don't do crap, and it's still updated. And I went, all right, well, we're not doing that anymore. And the whole reason I was using it was for remote code viewing, to open up the files. And I went, you know what? It's HFS, pointed to the directory, fine, I'm back to Vim.
Wow. Nice.
One thing that I'm hearing is that everyone has a fixed IP address that they're working with.
No,
not necessarily.
That's the beauty of like Tailscale lets you work without a fixed IP address.
That was just me with my OpenVPN.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why you don't have a fixed IP address, do you? Through your who do you